all about writing with Ben and Sara.
Welcome to All About Writing, the podcast that covers everything about the world of writing from the inside out. This is episode 38, part 5 on our series on marketing. I'm Ben, here with my co-host Sara, who is an award-winning, best-selling author, screenwriter, editor, and TED Talk presenter.
And I am Sara, here with my co-host Ben, who is an award-winning, best-selling author and ghostwriter, editor, and publisher. And we are so excited to once again welcome Judith Sanvicente, who is one of our marketing gurus that we love to talk to and bring on the show to get that insider knowledge about the topic all authors slightly cringe when they hear about. And I would love for you, Judith, to give us your background, tell us about yourself again, and what kind of work you have done in the past and are doing now with authors and other companies.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here talking to both of you. And I am a marketing specialist who has worked in the books industry for a number of years. And previously, I also worked for multinational companies in different countries, in fast-moving consumption goods, and also in technology. So I specialize in IT as well as marketing and PR, which can be a strange combination, but these days it comes in handy because marketing is done online and on the internet, and so
Speaking of that, I mean, I came from a marketing, advertising, PR background. That was my degree many years ago. And I will say, from college years and getting internships and everything, it has changed so much. Marketing of anything, books or IT or, beauty products has changed so dramatically. Like I remember it being, we would be making radio ads and we would be making billboards on the side of the road, and it is totally a different landscape now. And no matter your product, but I know we're talking about books, but I feel like as much as I think authors used to are like, oh, we have to have social media presence and we have to create a brand and all these weird platforms. I mean, everybody has to do it, not just authors.
Absolutely. And many of my colleagues in marketing say to me, I don't work in marketing anymore because it's now a technology job. It's no longer what it used to be, all about being creative and interacting with people face to face and going to parties. And, now you have to have a very specific set of skills, I think, where you understand the technology and also you can communicate clearly with your clients and manage expectations. So I think the job is becoming a little bit more demanding now, but then it's an opportunity to really provide a good service, and then it can be valuable for your clients.
Oh, I agree. It's just as a sidebar, I wanted to it's not just authors that are suffering in the trenches of social media platforms and creating an author style or brand. And that's what we want to talk about today here on episode 38 is specifically what is an author's style, especially how that plays into creating a marketing persona perhaps, or a brand. And what is that? Can you kind of give us and our listeners a broad strokes, like what exactly is considered an author's style or an author's brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So your style and your brand is a personality that you bring to the world and the message that you bring to the world. And just making reference to our previous episode 24, I think, we talked about how to optimize your marketing spend and how you need to be laser focused. So when you have this author identity crisp and clear, then that's going to help you make the most of your investments, because you're going to have one message across different platforms on one identity, and then people won't get confused about who you are and what are you talking about and what you're selling. So some of my clients have written books, for instance, in technology, and then suddenly they start writing another book in health and fitness. So if they change genres and topics in such a way, then what I recommend is to have a pen name or to have a different set of digital assets, a different website, etc., so that people don't get confused. So first of all, to develop your author style, you need to know how you want to who you are, first of all, because it has to be an authentic style. It has to speak to your strengths. It's not something that the author can fabricate, because then people sense that it's not real. So first know yourself, and then know what your unique selling proposition is, or what's the insight, what are you bringing to the picture that people are looking about and can connect with. So that's kind of the author's identity, and then it cascades into the books.
So I just want to kind of get into the like nitty gritty of the author style or branding too. You know, like I'll tell you what I immediately think of when I think of author branding. I think it's color choices and fonts. and always having like a funny or sarcastic way, or a specific way of engaging on social media, and that's it. And I have a feeling that you would say that an author's style or brand is bigger than that.
Yeah, so the author brand is much bigger than the fonts and the colors, as you mentioned before, Sarah. And I fully agree with you. It starts with a crystal clear identity that can be transformed into a message. But if you don't know exactly who you are or who you want to communicate to your public, what aspect of your personality you want to communicate, then it's hard to do it. So I would say start with knowing what your strengths are and how you can put those in written as a kind of a unique message or unique selling proposition, as we say in marketing, and then use that in your main communication tools, your website, your social media, even the backside of the cover in your book and the picture that you're going to use there. It's important to take the time to have a very nice about the author paragraph and a picture, a corresponding picture. So
Yeah,
also,
the picture actually, that's a really neat thing, because as authors we hardly think about that at all. Like, oh, whatever, just I'll find a photo of myself and stick it up there. But that can be a huge part of your style. Is your photo all sort of stern and looking down like that, or is it sort of the actor holding your head in one hand like that, or do you have some kind of goofy expression? That that tells the reader right away what they can expect
yes,
from
exactly.
your book.
Yeah,
And like the photo is a good example because it's just so clear and instant. But you're right.
yes.
The way you write the back cover blurb, the way you write your social media posts, the topics that you discuss in your blog, I think all of these will tell people who you are.
Exactly.
Does a marketing, I mean, that would be a question I think a lot of people would have. Do marketing professionals help authors who don't automatically have a voice come up with one, or like have conversations, sit down for an hour via Zoom or in person and go, you know what, I think this facet of your personality as a writer is what we should push out because it fits with the genre, or it's the most engaging, or and it's a piece of the author, but they don't know how to use it in a marketing, setting. So is that something marketing professionals help with to create that? Because that's almost like being a therapist, like an author therapist.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Not in general. It's hard to find this service out there, but we offer it just because it happened. We've worked with many, many authors, and this is a skill that by now we developed just by working with authors and helping them understand what the book is about. It actually a lot of the author's essence comes across in the manuscript. And when you're working with the editors and just polishing that and removing the extra load and just getting to the key message, then you also discover a very important part of the author's identity. It's a fun exercise to do.
It can be kind of like asking an author, so what's your book about? Because there's they can say so many things. Like, well, it's about everything, and who does your book appeal to? It appeals to everybody.
Yes.
Okay, let's zero in on that. And I think that a lot of authors do struggle with that. So if you, as a marketing professional, can help them sort of just shave off all the stuff that's great but not relevant, and then just focus on this aspect of you. This is what we want to project. I think that's
Exactly.
it's a really great way to describe it. Is that this is the part of the author that we are going to project. It's not that this is all you are, but this is what we're going to focus on because it's relevant to your style.
Exactly. And it's relevant to the author. And as a consequence, it's also relevant to the public, to the audience, because that's the unique part that the author has to offer.
Hmm.
So I want to know, like, when you're putting together an author brand, okay, and you are going to use marketing materials, whether that's helping them with newsletters or blog posts or social media or reaching out to, um, you know, podcasts to get on a list or whatever it might be. Does that, um, like, do you put together almost would a marketing team put together like almost like a, not a, maybe a media kit or a package that encompasses, like, let's say you were doing it for somebody who has multiple books over a couple different genres even, or are you focusing on just one piece of that author brand for one book at a time? Like, how does that, can you do, hey, here is the author, here's all their stuff, or is it better to, here is the author, here's one book we're going to focus on, that because otherwise does the brand get really, like, the author style get really convoluted, or is there a way to keep it umbrella for all their books?
Yeah, if the books are in the same genre, you can keep an umbrella. And what we do is we produce a brand book for the author, where we start by who the author is and by saying who the author is, and then take it from there. And then what's the unique message, and what are his books, and what are the colors that he's used or she's used in the books, and what's the new book about, and what's the visual language that we are suggesting for the new book. So that's why in the previous episode I was mentioning that it's important to start this work before even designing the book cover and choosing the title, because you want to incorporate these elements into that. But yeah, definitely you can have the author style as an umbrella, and then all the books within the same genre fall into that. If the author has a very different genre also where in development, then we do a different brand book, I would say. But yeah, but the style of the author stays relatively constant even across genres.
I want a brand book now.
Yes. Those are so much fun to do. Yeah, and authors love it.
Well, but that's
Mhm.
a roadmap then that they could probably use going forward, even after they're done working with a marketing
Yes.
team, because they've created that persona or that piece of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's an excellent way to communicate with your marketing team, because say you're onboarding a new marketing team who has never produced social media content for you, but you have the brand book, and they go, oh, okay, so this is the type of tone I should use and the type of messages, because we include examples of your voice versus what is not your voice. If it's like, what's your sense of humor, that sort of thing as well.
That's really good. So really, author branding is creating a roadmap for communication going forward
Yes.
forever.
Exactly. It's a guideline. Mhm.
Yeah.
And a
And
reference, point of reference.
just for some of our authors who maybe haven't done this before and are just they're listening to this and maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, what are some of the vehicles that an author can use to get their message out, like a website or a blog or so on? Like, can you just tell us about what some of the things and how you would apply the style to each one?
Yeah. So a website, and definitely the type of images that you use there, your language, the type of words, and the colors, all of that. That's pretty straightforward. Also, your social media, the content. Now, the content in social media can be divided into campaigns. So, for instance, a specific campaign can be more of self-contained concept, and then you can variate that into another campaign. So you have more flexibility, because social media content doesn't live as long, or it doesn't last. It's not so
Mhm.
evergreen as a website, right? So you want your website to be more permanent. And then with social media, you can experiment. But very importantly is use this knowledge or your brand communicated in your media kit that you're going to send to, say, the podcast shows we're going to interview with, or to the publications where you're advertising. So that gives them in 2 seconds a very clear impression of who you are
Mhm.
and how to talk to you.
Mhm.
And it's
And I
also
suppose.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and thank you. I was just going to say that also for podcast hosts, it's very important to see if the author is going to be a good fit for their show.
Right.
So here in 2 pages, you answered many of their questions.
Right. I was just thinking about how if an author is going to give interviews, their own brand book can help them to know how to answer questions. Like, not, I'm saying that they would not be faithful to themselves, but it can help them prepare answers and do I want to be serious about this? Do I want to be a bit more glib about this? Like, how do I want to approach this? It is,
Exactly.
like Sarah said a little while ago, it is almost like a psychiatrist helping the author understand themselves.
That's so true. Yes. And with one of our authors, we um, wrote her bio over and over and over and over until we had a paragraph that rocks, and she loves it, and she
Yeah.
feels so secure when she's communicating that. So that's also another part of having done that work, that she has this material that resonates with her and almost puts her in a different attitude when she's talking to someone. It empowers her because she knows exactly what her message is and who she is, and she can express it in 1 minute.
I think that's so important. So many authors do feel a little nervous getting out there. Most authors are they prefer to sit quietly and write rather than get out there and talk to people. So it can be quite intimidating for a lot of authors to get out
Yeah.
there. So having that confidence, feeling empowered about who they are, that's so powerful, so valuable. That's great.
Exactly. And if an author is going to start, say, a YouTube channel, then having done this work is already a good foundation for what their show is going to be about, for instance.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think it's something a lot of authors, I think, either know they need and don't have it. I think very few kind of do the work ahead of time for sure, or even do it. And then, you know, they realize they need that bio, they realize they need a brand, but they are already knee deep in a book, or they've already put out books and they don't know if they can go back. And I think if we were to leave people with anything from this episode, would be to say that no matter where you are in your writing career, if you don't have an idea of your brand, take the time to build one and figure out what that looks like, because it actually will make things easier in the long run.
Absolutely. It will save them so much time and effort, and also money. Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Judy, so much for being here today and
My
for
pleasure.
telling us all about this really interesting and really vital part of author marketing. If people want to find you, where can they find you online?
Well, it's been a pleasure. They can find me at Judith at book-central.com.
You want them to email you directly? You're okay with that?
Yes,
Oh, that's
please.
awesome. Thank you
By
for
all
opening
means.
that up to everybody.
Awesome.
Yes, my
Yeah.
pleasure.
So thank you everyone for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our chats, and feel free to leave a review because it really does help us a lot. If you are looking for any help with any aspect of your writing, we recommend our friends at Cascadia Author Services. You can find them at cascadiaauthorservices.com, and you can catch up with Sarah at sarahdahlman.com and on Instagram.
And you can find Ben at bennettrcoles.com, as well as on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again for joining us today. Please reach out if there's anything you'd like us to cover and discuss on here, whether it's about marketing or branding or more. And we will see you again when we next chat all about writing.
This has been All About Writing. with Ben and Sara.